Few characters possess the global recognition of Aladdin, the street urchin who finds fortune through a magical lamp. His tale, featuring genies, flying carpets, and exotic locales, has permeated literature, film, and theater across generations and continents. But while the Disney version might be the most familiar, the story's true origin and journey from a humble 18th century manuscript to a worldwide myth is far more complex and fascinating. We begin by peeling back the layers of this timeless narrative.
Although universally associated with the Arabian Nights, or 1001 Nights, the story of Aladdin was not part of the original medieval Arabic manuscripts. Its introduction into the Western world came much later, during the early 18th century. It stands out as one of the most famous orphan tales, stories added to the collection during its European translation and adaptation. This omission highlights the fluid and evolving nature of oral folklore as it crosses linguistic and cultural boundaries. The story was first published in French by the celebrated Orientalist Antoine Galland between 1704 and 1717. Galland claimed to have heard the tale from a Syrian Maronite scholar named Hanna Diab, who recounted the story orally in Paris. This crucial introduction cemented Aladdin's place in Western consciousness, despite the lack of initial Arabic sourcing for the tale itself. Galland's popular translation meant that for many in the West, Aladdin became the quintessential Arabian adventure.
A lesser-known detail of the original text is that the story explicitly takes place in a city in China, though the characters are clearly Muslim and exhibit recognizable Middle Eastern customs. This ambiguity suggests the story might be a hybrid folktale, borrowed and localized to fit the established narrative structure of the Nights. The geographic setting merely serves as a fantastical backdrop, emphasizing the exotic and distant nature of the adventure for European readers. The narrative begins with Aladdin, a lazy and impoverished young man, being tricked by a powerful sorcerer claiming to be his long-lost uncle. This villain, originating from the Maghreb, or North Africa, seeks Aladdin's help to retrieve a specific oil lamp from a booby-trapped subterranean cave. The sorcerer knows he cannot enter the cavern himself due to a powerful magical prohibition, requiring the young and gullible Aladdin to serve as his proxy. In the treacherous cave, Aladdin finds the dusty lamp and several precious jewels, but becomes trapped after refusing to hand the lamp over immediately to the impatient sorcerer. Unintentionally, Aladdin rubs Ring the sorcerer gave him for protection, summoning a minor genie of the ring. This genie secures Aladdin's escape, but the far more powerful genie remains contained within the lamp itself, waiting for the true master. Once free, Aladdin accidentally rubs the lamp and unleashes the mighty genie, an entity capable of granting virtually any wish. Unlike modern portrayals, this genie is not a comedic character, but a formidable, powerful servant bound to the lamp's owner, obligated to fulfill their every command. Aladdin's first requests are humble, providing food for his starving mother, before his ambition expands quickly to encompass immense wealth and power. Aladdin becomes infatuated with the Sultan's daughter, Princess Badr al-Budur, whom he is determined to marry despite his low social status. To win her hand, Aladdin uses the genie's powers to present the Sultan with unbelievably lavish gifts and treasures. These gifts include enormous platters of rare jewels, so luminous and unique they overwhelm the Sultan's resistance and secure his consent to the marriage. To prove his status and house his new bride, Aladdin commands the genie to construct a magnificent palace overnight, far grander than the Sultan's own residence. This architectural wonder is built of precious stones like jasper, crystal, and agate, immediately establishing Aladdin as a man of true, supernatural consequence. The palace becomes the central symbol of his new, magical life and elevated social standing. The original sorcerer, having tracked Aladdin's success, devises a cunning plan to reclaim the source of the boy's power. Disguising himself as a peddler, he walks through the marketplace offering new lamps for old, loudly calling attention to his exchange. The princess, unaware of the dusty lamp's immense value, foolishly trades the magical artifact, believing it to be a harmless household object. Upon gaining control of the lamp,
The sorcerer commands the genie to transport Aladdin's entire palace, along with the princess and all its inhabitants, to his native lands in the Maghreb. Aladdin, stripped of his power and wealth, is publicly disgraced and faces execution by the enraged sultan. He is given a brief reprieve to find his wife and the missing palace, an impossible task without his magic.
Remembering the minor genie of the ring that had saved him before, Aladdin uses its limited power to transport himself to the Maghreb, where the palace now rests. Though the Ring Genie cannot directly undo the Lamp Genie's commands, it can reunite Aladdin with the princess and offer stealthy assistance in planning the counterattack against the sorcerer. This demonstrates Aladdin's initial foresight in retaining the ring. The climax involves Badr al-Budur feigning affection for the sorcerer and serving him a poisoned drink, a decisive act of self-preservation and cunning rarely emphasized in simplified retellings. Once the sorcerer is incapacitated, Aladdin retrieves the lamp and commands the genie to return the palace and its inhabitants instantly to their original location. This calculated move marks the definitive end of the first primary villain. Crucially, the original narrative does not end here, featuring the sorcerer's even more powerful and vengeful brother attempting to kill Aladdin in disguise. This second, often omitted conflict extends the narrative, ensuring that Aladdin is not just lucky, but proves himself resourceful and vigilant against repeated magical threats. He ultimately vanquishes the second foe, securing his throne and happy ending permanently through his own skill and cunning. Upon its publication, Aladdin became a cornerstone of Orientalist literature, significantly shaping European ideas of the mysterious and exotic East. While it popularized these settings, it also cemented stereotypes of limitless wealth, tyrannical rulers, and passive princesses. The story became a key gateway into the perceived fantasy world of Arabia, influencing fashion, architecture, and stage design across Europe. Before the age of animation, Aladdin was a massive hit on the Western stage, particularly in British pantomime traditions, where the lead role was often played by a woman in theatrical cross-dressing. Early silent films and serials also took on the tale, focusing heavily on the visual spectacle of the flying carpet and the instantaneous magical effects of the genie. These interpretations solidified the visual iconography long before Disney arrived on the scene. The 1992 animated film by Walt Disney Studios catapulted the story into the modern global consciousness, largely eclipsing all previous versions through its combination of dynamic animation and musical numbers. Directors John Musker and Ron Clements dramatically restructured the tale, centering it on personal freedom and transforming the genie into a wisecracking contemporary character. This adaptation traded the original's gritty folklore for a high-energy musical comedy suitable for a global audience. The decision to cast Robin Williams as the genie proved revolutionary, introducing celebrity voice acting and improvisational humor that broke the traditional fourth wall. The genie became a whirlwind of pop culture references, transforming the ancient figure of the bounded spirit into a relatable, albeit magically powerful, friend. This shift moved the focus from Aladdin's acquisition of wealth to his struggle for honesty and self-acceptance. Despite ongoing debates surrounding cultural representation and its simplified depiction of the Middle East, the core themes of Aladdin continued to resonate powerfully. The narrative brilliantly explores the universal yearning to escape poverty and the dangers of deceptive appearances. The story ultimately concludes that true value lies not in acquired wealth, but in honesty, integrity, and genuine love, making it a potent cautionary tale wrapped in spectacular fantasy. From an 18th-century French manuscript sourced from an oral Syrian storyteller, Aladdin has evolved into one of the most adapted and recognizable stories in the world. Its journey reflects how folklore constantly reinvents itself to speak to the anxieties and hopes of new generations, shedding its regional setting for universal appeal. Whether experienced through complex literary translation or a vibrant stage musical, Aladdin's wish for a better life remains eternally powerful, securing its place as a global myth.